All right, your SEC Insider hit this morning. It's brought to you by Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. It's good to be blue, the official healthcare provider of the Out of Bounds show, Blue Cross Blue Shield of Mississippi. 105.9 The Zone ESPN. We're streaming live on thezone1059.com, and you can watch the show right now on Facebook. Search the Out of Bounds show, or you can watch it on YouTube. Search Out of Bounds Sports. LSU with a big win on the road. At Florida. And Jaden Daniels was really, really good. And so LSU comes, kind of, what we talk about. You kind of shower off the loss from the week before against Tennessee, go on the road against the Gators. Florida may not be good, but road wins in the SEC are highly coveted, and you have to hug them and love them. So we welcome in Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Mike D joins us on the Yuengling Lager guest line. Mike, were you surprised that LSU had that kind of offensive performance against Florida?
No, I wasn't surprised. I was shocked. We hadn't seen anything like that all season long for LSU. And Daniels really played well, really did. We've seen it as a runner, but, man, he's been highly erratic as a passer. And he got Keyshawn Boutte involved, and that certainly was a big part of the offense. But we had not seen this in the pitch and catch part of the game. Really hadn't. And he looked outstanding. And hopefully that can continue. But Brian Kelly said something 2 weeks ago. And I always listen to what coaches say because I think – they sort of forecast what they think is going to happen to their team. And he talked about we're going to have some lean days ahead of us. We're going to have some good days and some lean days. And he said it before the Tennessee game. And basically I think what he's telling you is that this is sort of going to be a bit of a roller coaster ride. That you're going to win one, lose one, win one, maybe win a couple, and then lose one, and that, it's piecing this all together. So he's telling you this is what he thinks. But I think a coach knows his team very, very well. And that's why I always listen very well to what a coach says in that sort of spot. Because I think he knows it a lot more than any fan, media person, anyone. And he sort of, a couple weeks ago, predicted that you would see maybe as bad as they played against Tennessee and maybe as good as they played against Florida.
What about the offensive line, Mike? So Josh Williams, 14 carries, 106. And obviously Jaden had some time, but you talked about it to us about it in August and throughout the year. Hey, this is a work in progress type thing, and they've had to play some young guys and even lost, I think, one of them. What are you seeing from the offensive line? And then I want to talk Josh Williams.
The offensive line has been sort of a Ouija board set of players, but the big thing is they're starting two freshman tackles in Will Campbell and Emory Jones. And Will was the SEC Offensive Lineman of the Week. He didn't play against Tennessee. He had some hydration issues in practice and did not get to play. And both him and Jones are the real McCoy, really are. Those guys are going to play. They're going to be next level players, meaning they'll play in the NFL. The problem has been really more inside center guard play. Brian is a guy that likes a big center. And he moved Garrett Dellinger, who had played both tackle and guard, had never played center before in his life, to the center position. Right off the bat, that kind of drew the flag up for me. Because I don't like, the guy's never done it before. That's a difficult position to be put in. and scouting players for over 35 years, it's rare that happens. Every once in a while, you'll have one that can really take to the center position very well, but that does take a little bit of time. That lasted one game. He was back to guard, and Charles Turner was the new center. Now, Charles has played it before, has been a center most of his career, but he came to LSU about 235 pounds. Now, they list him 295. Bo, I want to get on that scale. There ain't no way in God's green earth he's 295 pounds. That second number is maybe an 8, okay? But he knows how to play it. He's a really good athlete, but he's got a problem I think most people a certain age would like to have. He cannot pick up weight. He's had some real difficulties picking it up and keeping it on. But he is a good technician at that position, but he's going to get overpowered at times because, he's not a big guy. He's a big guy in the regular world. He's not a big guy in the SEC world. And they've moved things around. Bradford's played at guard. Miles Frazier's played at guard along with Dellinger. So that's been where the problems have been. Not so much off the edges with the two freshmen. It's been inside. And so it's been a work in progress. Now, I think Turner's played pretty well, to be honest with you. The guard play is what in pass protection has been lacking. And then Dellinger's missed some games due to an injury. I think he's a good player. But Bradford is, even over the last 2 years, the coaching staff before, they thought Bradford was the best lineman they had. But his problem has been weight and conditioning. He's been as high as in the 370s. And now he's down to 340, somewhere in that range. But so, again, it's not the offensive line that Brian wanted, but, he's made do, and he's really gotten good play out of the two freshman tackles, Emory Jones on the right side and Will Campbell, who is a real special freshman at 18 years old to be starting at left tackle, the blind side of a quarterback. He's really played well.
Mike, what do you think? Auburn rushed for over 300 yards against Ole Miss. What do you think Brian Kelly, LSU head coach, and his offensive staff, what do you think the game plan will be against Ole Miss?
I think he wants, that's his bread and butter. He wants to run the ball. If it's with John Emery, Josh Williams, and Jaden Daniels, because now he becomes another piece of the running game where you're going to have to stop Daniels because he's been a big-time threat as a runner. He's going to have designated runs with Jaden, and he's done it all season long. So they're not going to reinvent the wheel here. They're going to go after Ole Miss trying to run the football. But you saw a little bit of connection with them and much better in the pitch and catch part of the game. And so I think they're going to set up that with the ability to try to run the football. But it is something Brian has always kind of coveted as a coach, the ability to control the tempo of a game. He talks about it a lot, about the physicality and the tempo of a game with running the football. And you just take a look at that film, and, that's what they're going to do. Now, can LSU stop the running game?
Right. All right, so let's flip over. Mike Detillier, LSU Insider. For us, this is the game of the week in this state and in the SEC, by far and away. Ole Miss at LSU, 2:30 CBS. Mike D on the Out of Bounds show and the Yuengling Lager guest line. So size that up for me. Lane This offense is rolling on the ground. They're still a little shaky through the air. But how does that matchup look between Lane Train and Judkins, Evans, and Dart running against the LSU defense, Mike?
It's been hit and miss there too, in the running game. I thought overall they did an average job against Florida. They gave up certainly some big plays in the running game. Tennessee got some big plays, and Tennessee pounded LSU with their running game. And so, if I'm Ole Miss, I'm not reinventing the wheel either. I'm going after them. And Brian brought up very quickly yesterday that we have to tackle better, that we in a position to make a play, but sometimes don't do it. So I think both teams, you got to play to what you do best. Again, it's no mystery. Both teams are going to come out running the football against each other. And I think the big question mark is, and I think the real kind of check mark to the winner is, which one of the quarterbacks can make plays via the air?
Yeah.
That to me, I think both teams are going to give up yardage against the run, because that's what both teams want to do. They want to run the football, but it's which of the two quarterbacks can make enough plays throwing it. And LSU special teams, they ain't been close to special. I mean, it's really been horrific most of the year.
Wow.
It's really been
That's driving
bad.
Brian Kelly crazy.
Yeah, because that's all he talked about. And I've talked to some of the players on the team, and they talked about, man, we spent a lot of time on special teams trying to work things out. And we saw it against Florida State. We saw the big run backs that they gave up against Mississippi State. Tennessee, you opened the game up and you fumbled the kickoff. Last week, Jack Bash fumbles a punt. And it's been one thing after another after another. And in a close game like this is going to be, you cannot lose the special teams part of the game.
I
cannot
agree.
lose it.
How about Lane Kiffin and Marty Biaggi, who his numbers are really, really good as a special teams coordinator, Mike D. How about that call that they made against Auburn at the exact right time on that onside kick? Auburn had grabbed some momentum, and Lane was trying to figure out a way, to crush it, and they darn sure did with that onside kick.
Yeah, they sure did, and that was a great call. Again, when it works, it's a great call, right?
True.
When it doesn't work, man, then it makes you look like a big dummy. But it was a super call, and I think for me it's going to be which one of the two quarterbacks can make the big plays via the air, and which one of the special teams doesn't make the mistake. Ole Miss has been much better on special teams than LSU. And you got to give that check mark off big time to Ole Miss at this stage. And ain't no Cade York bailing you out for LSU. Now, Ramos came in and hit a field goal late for him, but they don't have that field goal kicker like they've had in previous years that can bail them out. And that, to me, is something that has drove Brian Kelly up the wall. Other than the turnovers on special teams, that's been a part of it.
Wow.
That he wants that big-time place kicker. Bramlett's a pretty good punter now. I will say that. They brought him in from Notre Dame. He's done a good job on that end. But LSU special teams has been unbelievably bad.
Okay. So the line's 1.5, Mike, for LSU, but it started 2.5 Ole Miss. And pretty big swing there. It sounds like we just went through it. Damn, evenly matched teams. Games at
Very
LSU. LSU has more talent on paper, but Kiffin's done a very nice job through the portal. So are you expecting a one-possession game in the mid-20s? What are we looking at?
Yeah, I think that's what you're looking at, 27-24, 24-23, something in that range. is what you're looking at. And I think for people in Vegas, they feel somewhere along the line Ole Miss may get caught in a trap. And I think they've signaled out this game. There's no way it should be a 1.5-point game. Ole Miss should be favored by more than that. But it's not, because I think they believe that maybe LSU's got them at the right time, right place. We'll see if that happens. But, it's been the Marvel Mystery Tour for both quarterbacks, right? For Dart and also for Daniels.
Yeah.
And so that, to me, is the key part of the game. If Daniels plays like he did against Florida, then LSU win the game. But I've only seen that one time. Okay? It's not like he's been consistently that good. And Dart's had his moments also. Well, he's looked pretty well.
So do you think Kiffin has the advantage as far as his staff over Bronze? Kelly's?
I think that's pretty close. That's pretty close. LSU's coaching staff has really milked this team pretty well, talent-wise. And I think Brian's done a good job overall. Now, Kiffin's one of the best. He's one of the elite offensive play callers in the game.
No question.
I don't think there's any question.
Maybe the best, Mike, right now.
When you look at him, Josh Heupel.
Absolutely.
Those two guys kind of cut above. Now, Lincoln Riley's doing a good job out at USC, but, Lane, he learned how to change with the talent that was around him and where he really wants to throw the football, and he was using that short pass like an extended handoff. And now this year, because his strength is his ability to run the football in a good offensive line, he's adjusted to that. You might say, well, all coaches do that. BS. All coaches don't. A lot of times they want to try to put the round peg in the square. That they're going to want to do it their way, and it doesn't work out. I give Lane a lot of credit because he changed his philosophy a lot because of the talent level.
No, he's not married to anything. He's married to He's married to generating the most points possible with the personnel that he has. And really generating the most explosive plays possible, which then lead to more red zone trips, as you know, Mike, which then leads to more points. I mean, to me, that's where Lane has gone, unlike many others that you're referencing.
Yeah, and then, a couple weeks back, it was Mingo making the big plays in the passing game.
No doubt.
He had a feeling, because once a receiver gets hot, and because we've seen it here, if it was Jefferson, if it was Jamar Chase, if it was Kayshawn in the past, when they get hot, you keep feeding it to him. Hey, the ball's not that heavy. Catch it. He's adjusted very well, and I got to talk to Josh Heupel in the offseason, and he sort of feels the same way. And he talked about, that quick rhythm passing game and making sure he puts Hooker in the best position to make plays. But he said, the best thing I can do for him is to run the ball. And you look at Tennessee and how well they've been able to run the football when they need to and have to. It's not all about the passing game. It's the ability to kind of roll with the talent that you have. And I think Brian, he comes in here with the reputation as a run-oriented coach. But he's learning how to adjust because I can take a look at that receiving core and say, man, all these guys are going to get a chance to play at the NFL level one day. I better get them the football.
Right. All right. So, real quick, Mike, I got 1 minute. Mike Detillier, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. LSU Saints Insider, among other things. If you had to give me your top 3 SEC power rankings, give me your top 3.
Oh, Georgia, Tennessee, Alabama.
You still have Georgia over Tennessee?
Yep.
Okay. Interesting.
They played in more big games. They have walked down that football aisle before.
Oh, you're just talking about the last couple of years, right?
Right.
Okay.
But they got a lot of people that have played on that Georgia team that was there a year ago and the year before.
Right, semifinal,
they have walked
final.
down that aisle.
Okay.
For Tennessee, I saw a lot of similarities to the 2019 LSU team, which had not walked it either.
True.
They hadn't walked it either, but they ended up winning. But I would still say Georgia.
Okay.
Over a slight over Tennessee, and in Alabama, if they don't fix things up front, offensive, defensive line, they're going to have some difficulties down the stretch. They got to get that fixed. They look rather average up front
for their standards. Yeah.
For what they've done in the past, they don't look quite the same team up front, offensive, defensive line.
So if you had to, I've still got Alabama winning the West, even though Ole Miss is number 1 and technically has a game on them. Do you still pick Bama today as the West champion?
I would, but that pick, after watching them the last couple weeks, are you as sure today as you were a month ago?
No.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
No.
And the East now has become very interesting.
Heck yeah.
And Hendon Hooker has changed the SEC East because of his talent. That quarterback position, when you have that in place, you can win a lot of games.
Dude, Matt Corral last year. I mean, goodness gracious. You're exactly right. You get a big-time one, it just elevates everything and masks your deficiencies, as you know, Mike D. Breeze and Sean did that for years. Thanks, my man. Have a great week, buddy.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Bo.
Mike Detillier, at Mike Detillier on Twitter, WWL Radio TV New Orleans. Speaking of a town that I haven't been to in a while, that I need to get down to, and I need to get out in New Orleans and eat some great food, stay at a fun hotel, and all that kind of good stuff. Maybe I need to go to a Saints game. What do you mean, maybe? I do need to go to a Saints game. All right, got to figure that out. We are the Out of Bounds Show, brought to you by Mississippi Sports Medicine and Orthopedic Center. Any age, any injury, any sport. They've got you covered at MississippiSportsMedicine.com. Fortification in Belhaven, Lakeland Drive, new surgery center and clinic. This is 105.9 The Zone ESPN. Straight ahead, what in the world is wrong with Res Dog?